Today we're taking a look at issues 51 through 53, the From the Shadows arc, following the exploits of a mysterious stallion erasing history books. The stallion, aptly named Shadowlock, promptly escapes with Twilight's books, and the girl's best strategy instead of chasing him is to have a sleepover. Alright, here's the main problem with this comic that's systemic throughout the entire 3 issues: the pacing. There is so much padding, it makes the comic feel slow and plodding with superfluous scenes like sleepovers or dealing with a numerous townfolk the main 6 encounter, that my interest is just waning by the first issue. In a very jarring transition, the girls are suddenly in a village tracking him with a locator spell. This is just another example of the poor writing in this comic, and I'm not talking about the dialogue though. Some of the dialogue can be stilted at times, mostly with our hooded antagonist. They just pull this spell locator thing right out of nowhere with this weird map, as the writers couldn't figure out how to get the main 6 to this village without making the logical decision of chasing the stallion in the night. They eventually find the books from the castle with his magical signature, but this raises the question of why didn't he erase the words from the books and then dump them in the middle of nowhere rather than just leave them here in town? Even if Twilight didn't have a locating spell, he still left his magical signature out in the open so any pony would have seen it. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this plot point, but again, this whole thing was just a contrived way for him to be found, and literally the only way the writers could think of to start this adventure. Anyway, from this point, the plot just stops for about 6 pages as we watch the girls finding information about the stallion, and it's utterly pointless as when they casually look over, they realize there's a library in town. Stupid. Also, this is minor, but the town's look is inconsistent, where in the beginning it appeared as a fairly modern city, later on it looks like we're in the Old West. And unless this is New Mexico, the settings just kinda clash. The main 6 burst into the library to find the guy calmly checking out a book? Okay, this makes no sense, as before he was all about breaking and entering Twilight's castle to steal her books, not being the least bit subtle, and now he's formally and legally checking out a book. If he wanted to keep a low profile, why didn't he just ask Twilight for history books in the first place? I know the castle's not a library, but I could easily buy him walking up to the Princess of Friendship, asking for research material, and she would easily accommodate him, admiring those interested in knowledge. A little consistency is all I ask. As for Shadow's character himself, well...
You underestimate my power! If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Pretty damn similar in terms of how interesting he is. Anyway, Shadow uses his magic, summoning a bunch of creatures from books to battle the girls, and admittedly, there are a couple good gags here, like the Frankenstag's monster reference, but it is otherwise an okay action scene. And by this point, the comic's formula becomes most prevalent. Go to location, find Shadow, spout cryptic exposition, Shadow escapes. Wash, rinse, repeat. And it's just tiring by the 3rd time when we finally get to the 3rd issue. Shadow traps the girls in this museum's exhibits of various historical moments, which again, there are a couple of funny gags, but overall is utterly pointless despite the moral it's trying to convey, which is actually a very good one. History, for better or for worse, serves as a reminder of mistakes of past civilizations, where they succeeded and fell, and where we can improve upon ourselves for the future. However, the execution of said moral loses its impact as each of the girls do figure out that they must improve upon the past to escape these scenarios, but it means nothing because they are just that, hallucinations. They have no effect on the outside world, and the girls themselves didn't learn anything from those experiences. And this, among other events, proves that the entirety of the main 6 were unnecessary to this story. All you needed was Twilight and Spike, because while the other girls participated in this hunt for Shadowlock, they really didn't help to push the plot forward, and pretty much just served as some pony to bounce dialogue off of Twilight. And again, the whole scene with the girls in the exhibits was specifically designed to have them out of the way for Twilight and Shadow to talk alone. So if you wanted the rest of the girls out of the way so much, why include them in the first place? Finally, after pages of padding, it's revealed he's wiping out all this history to prevent a 1,000-year-old entity from returning. And with his word spell, he's also accidentally removed the memory of how he was defeated. He didn't think to write down the one thing to kill this entity in at least a cryptic message on some parchment somewhere, or some type of clue? And none of the girls bothered to ask him about the name of this thing that was haunting him. Oh, sweet Celestia of this story. In the end, From the Shadows is a boring, pedestrian, lackluster story. The pacing is terrible, the antagonist is forgettable, and the only positives I can really say is, as per usual, Tony Fleek's drawings always look great, and there was some really epic artwork as well, with some great use of shadows. Other than that though, I'd say pass up this arc. Well, that's it for today, guys. Until next time, MC out!